What's up, everyone? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined today by Matt Moreno. And Matt, we've got another rumor, and we've got another Carlos Correa rumor. John Heyman, on his podcast, Big Time Baseball, had this to say about the Dodgers and Carlos Correa. Quote, "I think the big question is, could the Dodgers do it even if they don't do Freeman? I thought they would only go for Seager, and if they didn't get Seager, they have Turner there. But with Seager not there now, so much extra money that they're not spending, you can't rule out the Dodgers for Correa." Those would be my two thoughts for Correa right now, Houston or the Dodgers. I know you and Trevor did a video up on our YouTube page earlier talking about this. This is a rumor that won't go away. What are your thoughts about the Dodgers and Carlos Correa after this quote from John Heyman?
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. Somehow the Dodgers and Carlos Correa just continue to be linked together, lockout or not. Obviously, going into when the lockout started, there was a report that the Dodgers were among the teams that had made contact with his camp. I still, like I told Trevor, I still don't see it for a number of reasons. First and foremost being obviously the 2017 World Series.
Yeah.
I guess it's obviously possible Corey Seager's already gone from that team. Maybe Kenley Jansen will be, maybe Clayton Kershaw will be, but there are still members from that team in the clubhouse next year.
Yeah. Well, and the most vocally outspoken guys seem to be Justin Turner and Cody Bellinger,
right,
who are both still very much there.
Right. And so, I just don't see how that would fit. Talent level, Correa, is obviously a great shortstop.
Yeah.
But, I think you'll agree going into the offseason, we both sort of felt like it was going to be Corey Seager or bust in terms of free agent shortstops for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And frankly, I just, with Trey Turner on the roster, I don't see Carlos Correa as being necessary or really making sense. Like for me, I would rather go spend not nearly as much money and go get Freddie Freeman, who I think is more of a need right now.
Totally. Yeah, well, and also it's worth mentioning the Dodgers bringing back Chris Taylor is a significant part of this conversation as well, because he provides them insurance long-term if Trey Turner were to leave as a guy who could play shortstop. So there's three reactions that I had to Heyman's. The first is he referred to they have so much extra money they're not spending. Maybe they'll go. I don't know what extra money he's talking about. The Dodgers are currently $23 million over the competitive balance tax threshold. Okay, people just assume, oh, well, Seager went and signed for $32.5 million and Scherzer signed for $40, so the Dodgers must have $72.5 million. I don't know if he knows that. That's not how this kind of thing works. The Dodgers are, again, $23 million over the competitive balance tax threshold as of today. That's the first thing. Second, it's the Corey Seager, Carlos Correa thing, and this is I think worth noting. If you look at both of these guys, their resumes are actually incredibly similar. Correa is 5 months younger than Corey Seager. We think about how many games Corey Seager has missed. Dating back to 2016, he's missed 261 games. Correa has missed 217. So he's not exactly the picture of health. People will say, oh, the last couple of years have been good. Well, it's like, great, a year and a half of success. Congratulations. Offensively, defensively, again, there's some similarities. Seager, 22.1 wins above replacement. Correa, 21.7. This is since 2016. Weighted runs created plus, just 4 points separate them. Seager on top. 11 home runs separate them. 31 points in OPS separate them. They're very similar. Correa better defensively, probably, depending on the metrics you look at. But Seager's also a left-handed bat, which is something the Dodgers want. And I say all this, whereas if the Dodgers weren't going to go 10-3-25 for Corey Seager, their guy, a left-handed bat, who they know fits, who doesn't have any baggage, why in the world would they go for Correa, who, by the way, MLB trade rumors actually projected at the beginning of the offseason would make more money than Corey Seager? They had him for about $15 million more than Seager. They undershot Seager, so who knows? So, and none of that even gets at the elephant in the room, which is the sign-stealing thing. So, I think you could make an argument based on the Dodgers' current tax situation, based on the Dodgers' current roster construction, their needs, that if you're not going to give the money to Corey Seager, I don't understand for the life of me why you would give it to Correa. And that doesn't even, again, take into account the fact that the Dodgers have valued clubhouse culture, which this would throw a wrench in. This would piss off all the fans, which, by the way, are already pissed off because we're in the midst of a lockout and we didn't win last year. So there's just like 1,000 things on this checklist that I could go down. But to me, I can't even wrap my mind around any logical way that this makes sense. What is the best argument that you could make for why the Dodgers should sign Carlos Correa, even if you want to just make it on the basis of the baseball player Carlos Correa?
Yeah, I don't know, because I do agree with you. Like Correa, I think has been projected, and I would fully expect him to sign for more than what Seager received, and so that almost like shoots my argument
Yeah, and even if it's close, like even if it's 10 for 300 or something, like we're talking about pennies here and there, I don't get it.
I suppose maybe it's plausible the Dodgers are checking in to see if he would be interested in a short-term deal, but
Yeah.
does that really make sense? Like, just lock up Trey Turner at that point,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Like, why would you sign Correa for
Who,
two or
by the way,
3
all the
years?
numbers I just mentioned, Trey Turner is better than Seager and Correa in every single one of them except for the defensive metrics. So,
Yeah,
and add steals. So, you know,
doesn't make
aside from that.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, and maybe it's Correa's camp trying to generate leverage and
Yeah.
interest in the market. I mean, we're in a lockout right now, so teams and agents and players aren't supposed to be talking. I know the NBA has a big tampering issue. I'm not sure how prevalent it is in baseball, but we'll see. And again, like I don't see it. I don't see it making sense really for the Dodgers in any capacity.
Yeah, and we joked right before we jumped on here. I mean, you mentioned there are reports that the Dodgers had made contact with Correa's camp. And I think who knows what those contacts are. It might have been getting a feel of the sense of like, how much is he getting offered so we can make an offer on Seager? There's tons of reasons. But the joke for me about Jon Heyman is he goes on this podcast, he mentions this, he mentions Freddie Freeman, which we'll get to in a future video. But it almost feels like he's not actually sourcing this. Like you have a guy who is well connected, who is typically sourcing and reporting actual news and rumors that he is hearing. But then sometimes he drifts into, well, the Dodgers, they didn't sign Corey Seager. They could use a shortstop maybe. Maybe they'll go after Correa. Those are the two that make sense. And for me with Heyman, it's sometimes difficult to differentiate between, is he reporting something? Is he just making a guess about something? And so on Correa especially, again, to me, I just look at everything Andrew Friedman, Dave Roberts, what these guys have stood for historically. When it comes to clubhouse culture, guys that they have overpaid to bring back because of the impact that they've made, guys that they have said no to in the past because of the impact that they have made, all those types of things, they value that. I just don't see a world in which bringing Carlos Correa in doesn't mess up something that they have claimed to have cared deeply about historically. Yes, he's a very good baseball player. Again, but if you wanted a very good baseball player who plays shortstop, you just let a guy walk away for 10 years and $325 million, which, by the way, I was fine with. Like, I thought it was an overpay. I thought it was too long and too much money for a guy with the injury history Seager had. Again, we are familiar with Seager's injury history. We may not be familiar with Correa's. I did the research. He's missed 44 more games over the past 5 or 6 seasons. So, like, basically 2 guys that have missed a ton of games. We're going to talk about Freddie Freeman again in a future moment. Freddie Freeman has missed more than 4 games just one time since 2016. He has missed more than 4 games one time since 2016, and instead the Dodgers are going to give money to a guy that's missing on average about 40 games a season over the last 5 years. I just don't see it. The clubhouse fit is bad. They just missed on a better baseball player who's a better fit on a number of ways. And the last point that's worth mentioning, the Dodgers are over the tax. That doesn't mean they're done spending, but it's not like they just have free money that is just going to disappear if they don't spend it. So to me, all in all, you add it all up, this report doesn't make any sense to me. If it's even a report, maybe that's a mischaracterization of what Heyman was going at. But you don't see Correa coming to the Dodgers. I don't see Correa coming to the Dodgers. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Do you see a fit here? Do you see any world where the Dodgers would do this? Are you, as a fan, willing to put aside the sign-stealing stuff if it means getting a good baseball player and Carlos Correa in? Let us know below. That's Matt Moreno. My name's Jeff Spiegel. As always, check out DodgerBlue.com, DodgerBlue1958 on YouTube. We've got tons of content coming. Even in the lockout, stories are filtering out. We got Hall of Fame stuff to talk about, all sorts of things. So make sure you're subscribed here. Ring the notification bell. That's Matt Moreno. My name's Jeff Spiegel. We appreciate you joining us. We'll see you next time.